Mr. Principal, Miss Rogers is discriminating against my daughter for her religious beliefs, and I want her fired for it. Miss Smith, these are serious accusations. And false, might I add? Oh, right. So you just happened to give my baby an F on her paper about how Christianity is the only way towards salvation. I gave your daughter an F on a poorly written paper. Poorly written because you don't agree? Because you feel attacked by the truth? Miss Rogers, is this true? No, and while correct, her paper was offensive. That's not why she failed. Her score is reflected in the rubric, okay? There were so many spelling errors, no real proper formatting, run-on sentence after run-on sentence, no citations. Everything was, I think, I believe, I like. She didn't even really give any direct quotes from the Bible like she could have to back up her opinions. Like, it was just fundamentally a poorly written paper. Great news. Looks like there's no discrimination here. I'm sorry, are you just accepting that? Accepting that my baby is writing from her heart about something she believes in and you're punishing her for it? She's not being punished for her opinions or her beliefs, Miss Smith. Her writing was just poor. Right, I bet you wouldn't be saying the same thing if it was a pro-trans paper. Yes, ma'am, absolutely. I don't believe it. Mr. Principal, I want her disciplined for being so discriminatory towards me and my family and for gaslighting me like this. Of course, don't worry, Miss Smith. I'll handle everything. You have a great day. Bye-bye. Mr. Principal, I didn't do anything wrong. Well, Miss Rogers, you did allow the students to do opinion pieces, and that opens the door for hurt feelings. I'm not grading their opinions, as offensive as some of them are. I'm grading the writing. The topics are supposed to be something that they care about so that they take the assignment seriously. I'm hearing a lot of different words, and all I really want to hear is, sorry, Mr. Principal, I'll do different next time. Capiche? I don't get paid enough.
Lion King country. How did you deal with staying safe when it comes to predators?
The big thing for that area was to have a fire. So if we had a fire at night, we stayed in as a group.
They stay away.
The lions don't come in. Hyenas are a little more curious. We had actually have people watching. And hyenas are crazy because their bite strength is one of the strongest of any animals in animal.
Really? I didn't know
They
that.
had metal casings. We had cameras like next to watering holes that had like metal boxes for animal protection, and they would like bite the casing, like crunch it and rip the camera out.
Wow.
They're a crazy strong jaw. I think it's like 3,000 pounds bite pressures per square
Would you
inch.
say that hyenas are more dangerous than lions
They
then?
can be because people ignore them less. And so there's been stories where people have been like camping in Africa and they're out and then a hyena will come in because they test stuff with their mouth and like rip their face off.
Oh my gosh. I had one kid who very clearly took an assignment out of the tray that had another kid's name on it. Didn't even erase, just crossed out the other kid's name, wrote his name at the top. And I got it and I looked at it and I was like, did you take Connor's paper and just like cross his name out? No. But like you crossed it out in marker. I can see it. Like I see his name. Because you know like when there's pencil under marker, you can still see it. I'm like, can you tell me what your assignment was on? I forgot. You just turned it in yesterday. No. I forgot, but that's my paper.
Man, it was the end of a night shift. At the end of a night shift, you're already just like, it's been 3 a.m. and 4 a.m. and you've hit a wall and you're exhausted and you like cannot wait to go home, get results back on a patient that's had this like intractable nausea, vomiting, meaning she just keeps throwing up and she's already seen a GI doctor and all these people are like, we don't know what's going on. I did a CAT scan on her and found that there was lymphoma all throughout her chest and her belly. And so I basically told her like last thing again, it was like probably 5:50 in the morning before I drove home at 6 a.m. after being up all night that she essentially had cancer and it was very widespread and she had a 2-month-old baby. It was just like devastating for her and for me. And then I just drove home like in silence, you know. Then 2 years later, this person was in my ER. She was there for toe pain. And we're seeing like heart attacks and strokes and like sometimes like shootings and stabbings, you know, and she was there for toe pain. And I take every patient seriously and I try to truly connect with my patient regardless of their level of acuity is what we call it.
Right.
How close to death they are, you know, like
of course.
I'm trying to connect with all my patients. I was like, man, I'm so sorry, but it's going to be fine. It's going to heal up okay. And she was like, you don't remember me, do you? And she was like, you're the one who found my cancer 2 years ago. And I just want to let you know that I'm doing great. I'm in remission. my daughter and I are like, actually, no, just like,
I'm gonna start crying.
this is like the most joyful toe pain encounter I've ever had in my entire life. It made me so happy. And we hugged, and it was like, so glad that you broke your toe today, man. There's a guy that walked into a non-trauma ER.
Okay.
Was stabbed in the neck.
Oh.
And he
was like he was like walking himself in.
Yeah, he's like walking himself in and then collapses to the ground and he's bleeding. When you're not a specific trauma facility, you don't have the resources in the hospital 24/7 to be able to do these really intense surgeries. And the doctor, without a glove, like jumps on this dude's neck and grabs the artery there, the carotid artery, so he doesn't bleed out, and basically like gets a vascular surgeon on the phone that happened to be just finishing up a case upstairs. It's like the vascular surgeon happened to be there, happened to be available. And he's like, let's go. And so wheels up to the operating room, holding this dude's carotid artery with his bare hand. Save this dude's life. It makes me emotional. Save this dude's life. And I was like, I think I want to be that guy.
That's a superhero.
Like, how do I become that guy? And it was 11 years of like intense work and dedication and not making anywhere near the money that I had made in like Hollywood at the time.
But you were doing something so meaningful. Like, you're saving lives.
And I was like, that's what I need. How do I do that?
What would you say our knowledge about cancer today looks like versus cancer like from 10 years ago?
Huge progress.
Yeah.
I think immunotherapy.
What is that?
So that immunotherapy is enabling the immune system to attack the tumor. So a lot of like, so skin cancer, they used to use chemotherapy. Survival rate was like 2%. In like 6 months.
Why? Why so low?
Because the chemotherapy wasn't going to do anything. By then, it's already everywhere. Back in the 1980s, there was a rule that was put in to fund research into rare diseases because it's very costly to do these trials because you're testing it in live humans. And when you're testing it in live humans, especially the first time that you're testing it in humans, you have no idea what's going to happen because you're trying to figure out, well, how does it pass through the body? What happens, right? It's the first time it's ever been put inside the body of a human being in the world. It's expensive. And so they wanted to incentivize companies to examine drugs for rare diseases. If you can get the orphan drug designation, what happens then is that that's kind of like a confirmatory that this is the business side and people get unhappy sometimes about it. But on that front, it's like if you can get an orphan drug designation, that kind of gives people the confidence to move forward to like testing it in other diseases. So the news story that's out now is immunotherapy. So September of 2014, when the very first PD-1 inhibitor, that's specifically what it's called, that was how the first PD-1 inhibitor was approved in the US by the FDA, was through an orphan drug designation in melanoma. That was September of 2014. And very quickly by 2016, you just had like an explosion of trials. It was being used in bladder and prostate and lung cancer. They tried it in breast cancer. Wow. They tried combination therapies with chemo, without chemo, with targeted therapies, with another immunotherapy that actually came out 3 years before, back in 2011. So there was a Nobel Prize that was won in 2018 for this immunotherapy. And it really did revolutionize cancer medicine. It didn't revolutionize every single cancer, but a lot of times we don't give chemotherapy in times where 20 years ago we really only had chemotherapy.
Right.
So it really did change everything. And that was about 10 years ago. Yeah, only 2014. So that was one of the biggest changes that has happened, is enabling the immune system to attack the tumor.
You won't be the YouTube family.
No, I don't.
I think
like
I'll be the
that.
YouTube family. I think I would do that, but
I did an event in another state, and it was at an outdoor bar. It started very late. It started at like 8:30. And I'll never forget that around 9:30, 10 o'clock, this YouTube family pulled up, and they had their kids, and they were at a theme park all day, that they drove an hour from the theme park to the event because they wanted to get the kids' photos with all these big creators for their social media pages. And these kids looked exhausted. I kid you not, they were falling asleep on the floor in the corner of this outdoor bar gazebo that we were in. And I just remember thinking,